Hello, everybody, and welcome to the ERSCA Belly Up Sports 200 from Homestead Miami Speedway. Dom Santina alongside David Westergreen, Carlos Acosta, and 3Y TV, bringing us the production of the final race of the 2023 ERSCA season and chase for the championship. David, 3 drivers battling it out within 10 points tonight. Sets up for an awesome night of final racing here for the ERSCA series.
Yeah, it's exciting. We have 3 guys with a really good shot, really 4 guys with a good shot at the championship tonight. Between Nick Massey, Cameron Rich, Nick Indelicato, and Joe Francis, I think you'll get a good race. Mile-and-a-half track, and we've seen that Cameron Rich has done a lot of dominating this season on these mile-and-a-half tracks. Right, he won Charlotte. He was, extremely dominant at the other tracks that have this very slippery style of racing that you're going to have to save your tires over a long run. Homestead, very much that type of track. I anticipate that Cameron Rich will be very tough to beat, but Nick Massey has a slight point advantage. I believe it's 4 points. So, Massey's going to need to be able to pick up as many bonus points as possible, keep Cameron Rich within striking distance, and find a way to get around him late in this race. 16 drivers in the race tonight, not a whole lot of total points to be lost or gained. These guys are just going to have to be really strategic about where they make their moves and how they beat that number 17 car, because he's going to be really, really tough to deal with.
Yeah, we got about a minute left to go here in qualifying. You can see our top 3 on the board. 3 of your top points getters so far: Cameron Rich, Nick Indelicato, and Joe Francis. Rich setting the pace at a 32.90, quickest in qualifying.
He's also fastest in practice, was Cameron Rich, and that's going to make things really difficult for these guys. He's clearly come out to play tonight. He's got a lot of pace on the short run side of things, especially for qualifying. He'll be able to pick up a lap lead bonus point early in this race, potentially. Going to be difficult for these guys to make up ground on Cameron Rich, but it is Nick Massey who's the one who everyone's chasing right now to win his 3rd ERSCA championship for both all of Rich, Indelicato, and Joe Francis. It would be their 1st ERSCA championship. So, Massey, the only one kind of defending his title. And, he's been here before. These other guys kind of haven't really. I think Indelicato was involved in our title hunt last year, but had fallen out by this point in the end of the season. So, Nick Massey, he's been here before, but he's going to be coming from the back tonight, as he does not get a qualifying lap off, but that won't deter Nick Massey. I bet he'll be up at the front of the field before too long. It will be Cameron Rich going from the pole.
Yep, and Nick Indelicato will be to his outside, completing the front row. Joe Francis, Scott Crump, row 2. Row 3 will be Matthew Weeks and Dylan Thomas. Row 4 will be Gavin Hibbs and Johnny Thomas. Rounding out your top 10 will be Kyle Henshaw and Ryan Gavel. 11th will be Zishan Dura, and 12th will be Gerald Campbell.
The 13th, Seth
kind of running out.
Yep, go ahead.
Yep, no, go ahead. You got it, David.
Yeah, okay. Seth Rawls is 13th. Massey, Drew Eisenman, and Vincent Isabella do not take time. They'll be 14th through 16th on the grid, but it'll be a short field. Not a ton of points to go around. Only 6 drivers are not going to get halfway bonus points at lap 60. We'll be going for 120 laps. I anticipate the fuel burn will be about the same as it was last week, right, at Auto Club. Maybe a few more laps. They'll go 38 to 40. They'll probably try to divide this race up into thirds. But from what I saw, these guys were fighting the car on corner exit with all this extra horsepower in these Gen 4 cars. I think we might get some cautions just based on car control here at Homestead. It's a tough track. You've got to be really sensitive with your foot on the throttle. Going to be a very fun race from that aspect, but it's going to be difficult on these drivers. They're going to have to race the track and not necessarily each other. And we know these ERSCA guys aren't always so clean when it comes to racing each other in the first place.
It was nice last week to have a pretty clean run through the start to the finish. I don't remember, 1 or 2 cautions maybe was the total. Something we haven't seen a whole lot of, especially this second half when we've took on full control of the series. But was nice to see a good clean race last week, and hoping that continues into this week as well.
I saw Nick Massey get in there, and he does a spawn in, sign up for the lobby, get ready to race. He doesn't have to start from pit road, is the important point for Nick Massey. He'll be charging from 14th. Missed the start. There you go. He'll be charging from 14th though to come after Cameron Rich, Nick Indelicato, and Joe Francis, who qualified 1, 2, 3 for this race. I think all 3 of those guys were going after, have been practicing, have been running some laps. Massey, at the very least, coming from the Elite Monday Night Series, and he'll be starting in the back. And no, he'll be working his way forward throughout this race. This track definitely suits him, but it definitely suits Cameron Rich as well. Their driving styles will make this for a good showdown here at Homestead.
Yeah, and even though, Massey's starting in the back, points-wise, there's not a big deficit to that right now. Now, if we get to lap 60 and for some reason he's not in the top 10, then it can really hurt, but he's okay right now.
Yep, pace car is off. Green flag is out at Homestead. The final race of the 2023 ERSCA season is green. Cameron Rich gets off to a really good start. He jumps to the outside lane and he runs a middle groove through turns 1 and 2. Can be really slick coming up. Oh, there is somebody spinning. Eisenman in the 77 sliding around in the back of the field. He will save it. Everybody else keeps it clean. I was just going to say, on cold tires, it's real easy to spin this car around.
All right, Carlos just reminded us as we come around to complete lap number 1, we did not do picks this week. So real quickly, who do we want to take for picks?
All right, well, I'm going to jump first, and I'm taking Cameron Rich.
Ah!
All right, Carlos, I'll let you go second since David's still your pick.
All right, I'm gonna go with Cameron Rich.
All right, we're doubling down.
Doubling down.
I will not make it a triple. I'll go.
No, here, just joking. Aren't you gonna go ahead and say that Nick Massey will come back from the back to get the championship and the win?
All right. Well, I'll take Nick Indelicato.
All right. Joe Francis, the only one of the championship 3 not to get picked, but he's running second best of those. He's able to clear in and get behind Cameron Rich on this start. Everybody else single filed out. Of note, movers, Matthew Weeks has fallen 2 spots. Scott Crump's up to position number 3. He is hunting on Joe Francis 2. He's right on the back bumper of that 50 car. Crump, not a member of the championship 4. I think some regular season mistakes and some incidents prevented that, but Crump definitely has shown some pace this season, especially on this 1.5-mile tracks. He's going to the outside for second.
Francis trying to hold him off there on the bottom line.
Yeah, I think the beauty of Homestead here is going to be multi-groove racing, right? You see Scott Crump running that top lane. Joe Francis able to put the power down on corner exit and stay alongside Scott Crump. But Crump is going to be able to kind of throw it into turn 1 here, ride the seam, get around Joe Francis. Just a good smooth pass by that 8 car. He's going to be hunting for the lead here down the back straightaway. Cameron Rich running that first seam as well. First seam, kind of the known best groove at Homestead, but you can find speed anywhere on this racetrack, right? I mean, you can get up to the wall and find some speed up there. You can run down on the white line, find some speed there. But I think what you'll see as these guys get, into their run, they will just kind of migrate to that first seam on the bottom of the racetrack. And Ryan Gavel sideways off a 2. He's going to save it as well. Seen 2 really good saves from these guys today.
Yeah, first few single file here, but we're starting to come together a little bit. Nick Indelicado's leading the pack of 4 cars of Indelicado, Dylan Thomas, Gavin Hibbs, and Johnny Thomas. Starting to kind of close in a little bit on the back of Joe Francis here. Might be able to challenge him for the 3rd place position in the next few laps.
Nick Massey has rocketed past Kyle Hanshaw, Gerald Campbell, and he is setting his sights on Seth Rawls down the back straightaway. He's looking to jump into the top 10. He and Rawls both trying to jump around Ryan Gavel right now after Gavel slid the rear tires of that 0-1 car last lap in turn 2. Another pass being made is Dylan Thomas, Gavin Hibbs swap 5th place, move the 9 car up to P5.
You have to give a shout out. I always love Gavin Hibbs, Casey Kane throwback, but really liking the Steelers paint scheme here today.
Nah, not a Steelers fan over here. Though I'm mostly just I'm not a Steelers fan in general, right? I think of the few Super Bowls I watched of the Steelers, they had somebody I wasn't really rooting for. Hibbs trying to make it look just like Big Ben there as he rockets to the bottom of the racetrack on Nick Indelicato. He's going to take that spot as well, so move Hibbs up to 4th in the Steelers car.
One guy that's going right along with him is Johnny Thomas. He got around Dylan Thomas, and now is closed in on the back of Nick Indelicato here, trying to have Hibbs pull him along with the momentum.
Man, Johnny and Dylan both loosed. The Thomas brothers, no relation, getting sideways there out of turn 2. That's not good for your rear tires, right? You do that once, okay, but you do it a second time, and then all of a sudden that car starts to feel like you're driving on ice every time you put the throttle down, corner exit. All of a sudden, these guys are going to find themselves slipping backwards if they keep on doing that. So keep an eye out for that 03 and the 83. They're definitely hurting their tires right now, especially when they're exiting turn 2 in that way. Would like to call our attention to the battle for the lead. Scott Crump has run the Seth Rawls got in the fence down the back straightaway. Matthew Weeks and Nick Massey having to avoid him to the bottom. Oh, we're having a battle for the lead. I think we are. Scott Crump got alongside Rich there for a second. He had to back out of it. Now Massey's to the inside of Seth Rawls. That is for 9th. Massey's moving forward. Rawls trying to find some speed up on the top of the racetrack. We've not seen that work just yet. And down the back straightaway, Massey will clear Seth Rawls. And into 9th goes the 48. Championship contender trying to chase down his championship rivals after having to start from 14th here tonight. Only a 16 car field, but you got to feel like that does put Massey at a disadvantage.
Well, one thing that might help Nick Massey here is this battle for the lead. Scott Crump closing in once again, trying to push Cameron Rich and take over this race lead.
Thomas sideways again, Dylan. But yes, Cameron Rich really smooth out front, man, and that's just what he's done so well this season, is lead races at his own pace. And I think back to Charlotte, we saw Cameron Rich take the lead, right? Get a decent-sized lead, and all of a sudden Scott Crump, and sometimes it was Tate Lytle, and sometimes it was other drivers who would just drive up to him and pass him. And oh man, is Cameron, what's going on? And then 20 laps later, Cameron Rich would be right on their back bumper, drive right back around him, no problem. And he showed that he knew how to keep the tires on that car. He knew how to keep it at pace. And while some people had that short run speed to hang with him, he just had that long run pace and was able to outlast them. Here again, it looks like Scott Crump's got really good comparable short run pace to Cameron Rich, but can he keep it up over a 40 lap run? We're lap 14 in the books, so Rich will, Scott Crump will have to do this for 3 times as long here to try to prove he can stay with Cameron Rich.
One guy that's just kind of hanging out here in that pack too, right behind them, is Joe Francis, just hanging on in 3rd, about half second off Cameron. Again, we talked about it and kind of praised him last week for the 2 runs he's had in the playoffs, and he's starting it off here again this week with a great qualifying effort, and now just kind of hanging back here, just relaxing a little bit early off the start.
Doing exactly what he needs to do to stay in contention for this win as Indelicato cuts to the bottom on Gavin Hibbs. He's starting to lose this front pack a little bit, and one other thing I'm noticing is that, we talk about Scott Crump and how his pace was really good. It was right there, right? I feel like what happens is Scott Crump gets impatient. He starts to run other lines. He doesn't just keep the the car in that wake of Cameron Rich, and is able to kind of maintain those tires, maintain that track position. He starts to get aggressive, go for the lead, and once he does that, you know, he does end up burning the tires off of it. Hibbs backs out of it. He'll let Indelicato have that 4th position. Good, solid racing by Gavin Hibbs. He'll go fight for another day, and Dylan Dominus hanging out right behind this battle. We've seen him sideways a couple of times, though. I think that 0-3 may start to fall back like the 83 has already from this pack. Especially with him using that high lane. I mentioned that Gerald Campbell and Drew Eisenman are fighting it out for 13th. We do have battles all the way back to what is, I think, second to last on track, but Vincent Isabella, who I don't believe Vincent was gonna race, but I asked him to go in and give it a shot, and he certainly did. So, you know, good for Vince. I'm sure he might have bonked the wall or something, or just, you know, running 13th wasn't his idea of a Monday night. Understandable, but you know, he didn't get any practice. I didn't see, so tough. We'll call it mechanical failure on Vincent Isabella's 42 car.
Nick Massey is closed in on Matthew Weeks here. Johnny Thomas right in front of them. So Massey taking a look underneath Weeks here in the corner. Not going to be able to get him. Caution flag out.
The caution flies. Was it Campbell? It was Campbell, and it may have been Eisenman as well. They had been running well together and had been fighting it out. Looks like Campbell just gets to the back of the 77 car and turns him into the fence. See it here on replay, just going into turn 1. Eisenman and Campbell just misjudges Eisenman's lift point. Looks like the 77's been lifting a little bit earlier. Campbell kind of fired it into the corner. They plowed into each other and knocked the fence down there, and that will bring out that first caution of the day. Worth noting that there are 5 tire sets total, which means one of those is on the cars right now. They got 4 additional sets sitting in the pit. These guys are probably going to come down and get 4 fresh tires. Worth noting. Did you guys see Barbie? I thought it was pretty good. Oh, is that good, huh? I liked it. I think it, you know, it's not made for me, but it was a good movie. Cameron Rich on pit road. Somebody stayed out. I want to say it was Kyle Hanshaw. Yeah, it was. Hanshaw stayed out. He's going to go grab a lap lead. Cameron Rich leading everybody down pit road. Will we see any alternate pit strategies? I doubt it at this point in the race, right? A little early to be trying stuff. Down and away. Crump. Does Crump beat Rich off pit road? He does not. They come off pit road mostly the same way they came in. Curious if we had Drew Eisenman in the infield care center. Maybe we would try and grab him and hear his thoughts on a wreck. Love hearing Drew Eisenman's thoughts, as he's a guy who loves to speak his mind. Did we? He's not in the infield care center, so he might still be driving around there. All right. Drew, David in the booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I got you, David.
You, Drew, what happened out there, man? Looked like you guys got bonked into a little bit.
I mean, honestly, I wasn't really paying attention to what Greg was doing. I was just kind of focused out front, and then all of a sudden I got kind of lifted up from the rear and tried to keep it out of the wall, but I got a bunch of damage, so not honestly confident in this car's ability to kind of hold pace.
All right. Well, it's tough, man. You know, we were keeping an eye on you there. We saw you were having a good battle. You giving Cam any words of encouragement here as he goes for a championship?
I mean, just you know, trying to do everything I can to support him, whether it's you know, through chat or what I can do on track or anything. Just you know, I don't need to make him any faster. That's for sure. He's quick enough. But just, you know, being a good teammate, you know, giving him a good support system to bounce ideas off of and everything. So I just got to leave it to him. He's fast enough. He knows what to do. But you know, just being as big of an asset as I can be to him is kind of the focus right now.
Gotcha, man. Well, a tough break, but we'll send you back down there to continue working with Cam, and we'll see if you guys can't get a team championship here tonight.
Yeah, appreciate y'all. Hope you enjoy the broadcast.
That was Drew Eisenman, the driver of the 77 car out there. Just got involved in that wreck with Gerald Campbell. Didn't seem too upset about it, though. It seemed like he was, you know, at ease with the entire situation. One thing I'm noticing is that Nick Massey is further back down the running order, though. I think that's just not updated because, or is he off the track?
No, it says he's a lap down.
What? He dropped his connection. Holy cow, I missed it while I was talking to Drew. Massey's connection drops. Massey goes a lap down. He is going to need at least one caution. Wow. My score is showing 1. It might drop to 2 here once we get back to the start-finish line, but that is a crazy turn of events for Nick Massey.
I think we both just looked up at the same time, David, and noticed that because I was just getting ready to say the same thing.
I figured, oh yeah, Chris Stripe probably brought him down for a splash of fuel at the end there, got him behind everybody, but he's going to be able to stay out longer. Nope. Big issue for Massey. We'll see if he can make it up here as Cameron Rich gets going early before the traditional restart zone. Green flag back out at Homestead. Rich soars ahead of Scott Crump. And Joe Francis and Delicato will be left to battle for third.
Francis going to look to the inside of Crump, not going to be able to get anything there coming out of the corner. Delicato's going to go up high with Crump, try to push him down the backstretch here and take that third position away.
And Delicato kind of have that preferred defensive outside line. 3 distinct grooves racing for second here. Joe Francis feeding on the bottom lane. He's going to clear Delicato for third. He might be able to get alongside Crump for second, but that outside line showing its momentum down the front straightaway. And Delicato and Crump not finished battling yet, but it looks like, yeah, Scott Crump's going to settle out to second with Francis third and Delicato fourth, just how they were before that caution flag. Battle's now again for fourth, but this time it's Gavin Hibbs going after Delicato.
Hibbs down to the bottom, looking to try to sneak underneath and get a full car length inside. Squeeze him up off the corner a little bit.
That brawls Johnny Thomas also side by side right behind this battle, and worth noting on your ticker to the left side, you can see it. Nick Massey 2 laps down. Oh man. Hibbs does slide up in front of Delicato.
What an awful time for your connection to go out.
Oh my goodness. To a point at which, you know, we figured Nick Massey had to come from the back. Maybe that was an intentional decision, or it looks like it was unintentional. Oh, Johnny Thomas might have caught the wall back there. It looks to be unintentional in a connection issue. What's up, Carlos?
I have a counterpoint for you guys. I would argue if you're going to have a connection drop, this would be the best time to have a connection drop. You still have slightly less than 100 laps to get 2 laps back.
No, I agree, Carlos. I was just saying, like, out of all races, like, this is the worst race to have it happen.
Yep. No time to make it up. If you can't make it up today, season's over. Speaking of making it up, Scott Crump has caught Cameron Rich after that quick start by the 17. He is now pounding the back bumper of that 17 Pontiac. Crump been running that Stay Tuned Sports Dodge all season long. Joe Francis been committed to the Ford.
Just saw Joe Campbell come down pit road there, probably get some more repairs.
I'm imagining the Barbie car is a little unhappy after having smacked the wall, and also the 77 car. He will, I believe, fall behind Massey. That will assist that 48 car, but Massey's going to need 2 cautions, really, to have any hope at this point. Last week we only saw one caution flag, so we'll see whether he can get it. Man, that 17 car has been quick today, I tell you what.
As we expected, currently holding a 0.2 of a second lead over Scott Crump. About 0.7 back to Joe Francis.
Crump's the only one that's been able to stay even in the vicinity of Cameron Rich to this point, and it's pretty clear that Scott's pushing pretty hard, and Cameron is just kind of coasting. It almost feels like, right? I mean, he's very nearly just toying with his competition at this point, right? You see Scott Crump kind of driving it up through the corner, very aggressive on his throttle on corner exit, but it just doesn't seem like it's enough to get to the back bumper of the 17 car. Beautiful sunset here in Homestead. I don't think we'll get to nighttime by the end of this race, but I think the track will undergo some pretty significant temperature changes. Right now the track's sitting at 99 degrees. Kyle Handshot slow on the back. He's going to come down pit road. He's got some big damage, so that will be, I believe, a point for Nick Massey. One more. There's big damage on the left front of this 22 car. I think it might have gotten loose and spun and hit the inside wall. That's exactly what happened.
Head on.
It was almost the caution Massey needed. Go on board with Hanshaw, run that top lane, and that car was stepped out from underneath him before corner exit, before even transitioned off the banking.
That'll move Massey up to 13th once Hanshaw goes a couple laps down here.
Yeah, that'll be when they come by on the front straightaway this time. Scott Crump has not let Cameron Rich go anywhere. He is still right on the back bumper, but no change.
Got a battle for 5th and 6th. Dylan Thomas looking inside of Nick and Delicato.
It's interesting, right? Since Delicato's gotten into this point, he got into the chase, we have not seen. Oh, Dylan's gonna bank it, smack into the one car there. He backs out of it, lets Delicato through. We just haven't seen the same speed out of that one car, though. He was dominating some races. He was kind of up front leading some laps, but Darlington hit. We saw him get involved in a bunch of incidents, and he hasn't been quite the same pace as some of the guys around him since then.
Ever since him and Cameron Rich got together, the last two races just seems like it, like you're kind of saying, David, hasn't been the same Nick and Delicato that we're used to.
Yeah, and I do wonder if Indelicato's just not as comfortable with these tracks. But that being said, right, I've seen Indelicato win races handily at Homestead, so maybe it's this car, right? Maybe it's a lack of comfort with these slick, banked tracks with multiple grooves like Homestead in California. Maybe it's just tracks that he isn't, quite as comfortable with. But I say that I've seen Delicato run well on these tracks, so I'm not sure what the difference is here from before, where he was winning at tracks like Michigan, which would be comparable to a track like Auto Club. So I'm not sure. Got Crump, Cameron Rich still nose to tail. And Crump has not been able to make a move and go around that 17 car. Although it does feel like Crump's, learning, I think, is what he's doing right now. Just taking laps behind a car he knows is faster. He's taking those laps, getting in, kind of educating himself on where's that 17 car lifting, where's he running in that center of the corner, how's he turning it down to accelerate off these corners, because he's saving more tire than me. If Crump can learn that strategy, maybe he can get 2 and around this 17 car as Matthew Weeks pulls off the track and goes to pit road. Another spot for Nick Massey.
Did Weeks get into the wall, or did he just pull down pit road?
I'm looking at. He's at the back of this pack. And he's fully up. He's out of the session.
Interesting.
I don't see any incidents. I just don't know if. Tough for that 99 car to move forward today, and went ahead and pulled it off track. Puts Massey in 12th with no damage, so he might be able to lap up, to Eisenman over the course of a run. With so many cars, kind of falling by the wayside, that continues to further reduce the probability of us getting a caution flag here at some point. The longer... Oh, go ahead.
The big problem is going to be in 20 laps. We're going to get to the halfway point unless we have 2 more cars that just decide to pull down pit road. Massey's going to be out of a points-paying position.
Yeah, he is not looking good. He did have a 4-point cushion on Cameron Rich, but that's down to 3 points with the lap led by Cameron. Cameron's probably going to lock up most laps led. That'll be a 2nd point, and then whatever he scores at halfway, that would take the lead from Massey and put it on the shoulders of the 17 car, and it would then probably just take a miracle at that point, an incident for Cameron Rich.
It's like Johnny Thomas is trying to make a move. Gavel up against the wall again.
Gavel's running that lane. He's trying out the Kyle Larson lane. I just don't think it works particularly well with this car. Kudos to him for trying it out. I mean, he's running back in 8th place. Certainly knock the right side off of this 0-1 car and still have some speed, enough speed to finish at about 8th.
And while Crump has hung on to Cameron Rich, they have pulled a big gap on Joe Francis, up over 1 3/4 seconds now, closing in on almost 2 seconds. And you can see Joe Francis there, just kind of in no man's land right now. Not close enough to do anything in front of him. No one anywhere near him behind him, over 2 seconds back there as well. So he's running on his own right now in 3rd position.
Nick Delgado just bypassed Gavin Hibbs for 4th, so that 1 car is back on the prowl for a podium finish, but he is already 4 seconds off of Cameron Rich, and it's continuing to decrease pretty steadily as Rich is about 1/10 of a second quicker per lap than that 1 car. Scott Crump starting to fall back ever so slightly. He was 2/10 last lap. He's going to be a little over 3/10 this lap. The gap is just steadily growing very slightly between the 17 and the 8 here as we approach the halfway bonus point allocation, where Cameron Rich officially takes the points lead. So, if you're Joe Francis sitting in 3rd place right here, you've got every conceivable opportunity for a championship, but you're gonna have to change your strategy comparatively to the 17 car to make it happen. What do you do? Do you short pit? Do you go long? Take 2 tires? What's the call on the box for the 50 car?
I feel like with just how we know that how Rich saves tires, I feel like the only option is almost to go short pit and try to make up time and speed so you can push harder. Because if you try to go longer than Cameron Rich, I don't think it's going to work.
Right, he'll just have too big of a gap, and you won't be able to catch him back, much like Massey did last week at Auto Club. Puts you in a tough spot, right? Puts you in a bind because, you know, this race is, the strategy kind of gets jumbled up, right? You can't really make a big strategy shift, right? Everybody pitted on lap 15, 100 laps to go. Everybody's probably going to try to divide this up into two if they can. And if they're dividing it up into 3 segments, well, they're going to pit in the next 3 laps, but I think they want to make sure they get to halfway.
I mean, for those of them that are in the championship, right, like our top 3 right now that are in the top 4, if you're Francis or an Delicato, I mean, yeah, I guess you'd lose a few points to Cameron Rich, but I was going to say, if you're going for the overall win, there's 11 cars on the lead lap right now. So if you were to come down in a lap or 2, could you make up a couple positions to
I don't think you could.
back? I don't know. I don't think you could.
Yeah, I think you would have had to do it sooner in order to actually get back into the top 10, but I don't think you can throw away 3rd place points. It's just a matter of when do you come after. Try to, you know, just Francis try to divide the second 60 into a 2-stop set, right? Where he goes, I don't know, 25 laps, 25 laps. I don't know if that's going to work. As here comes Massey. There's not much he can do, poor guy. Going 3rd lap down here, and yeah, it's just tough. Connection issues for the 48, preventing him from defending his ERSCA championship and winning a 3rd title.
Yeah, I was gonna say he didn't even stop.
Might be blinking or something here. I'm just not sure, but maybe he let the field go by so he didn't affect the title fight.
It's kind of weird though, because I feel like you could have just pulled down and let them go by. I don't know. Interesting choice.
He's coming back down again.
Did he miss his box?
Maybe. His box is at the back end of pit road. Yeah, it's just from bad to worse for Nick Massey. I'm sure he's frustrated. I'm sure, you know, being, you know, this far out of it is certainly disorienting and heartbreaking. Certainly been on the back end of a championship race gone wrong, and you certainly lose your focus once the big picture kind of falls out of the way. Johnny Thomas completing the pass for 8th on Ryan Gavel. Gavel going back after Johnny. These two are having fun. They're throwing slide jobs and they're racing like you should. Trying to have fun in this final ERSCA race of the season. Another slider from Ryan. Johnny is going to cut to the inside, see if he can't get him back.
Gavel got really loose out of the corner there.
Yep.
That one might have done it.
Johnny's now pretty clear ahead. Last lap, fastest car among the top 4 was Nick and Delicato in the 1.
Currently over 5 seconds back to the race leader.
Yeah, therein lies the issue.
Oh, Gavel on the wall.
Ooh, not good. Yeah, I scraped the paint off of it. He narrowed it up a little bit. that lap right there.
Gavel is barely hanging on to that thing right now. He almost had it completely sideways in the corner.
If I am Ryan Gavel, I'm coming down pit road in the next 2 or 3 laps, just strapping some new tires on it and seeing what happens. Because he might just come away with the lead of the race and then be able to pit early again, and you never know. Just see what happens. You know, he could be quick enough to get around, you know, this track and maybe make up some spots to some of these guys. Maybe on Dura, maybe on Johnny. And if I'm Gavel, you're right. He's not in the points. Go for it, man. Pit and see what happens. I mentioned that Delicato had the fast lap a couple laps ago. He has not claimed that crown again. It is still. Actually, no, he got it last lap as well. It was Cameron Rich 3 laps before that. Delicato fastest on track that lap. Coming up, 5 laps to go till the end of the stage. We're watching Ryan Gavel. He's a one-man show back there.
Oh, battle here between Johnny and Seth Rawls.
Seth had, I think bobbled a little bit and got Johnny close enough to pounce and start to make a move. Seth has driven from 13th up to this 8th position. I guess he's up to 7th right now. Johnny Thomas, bottom of the racetrack. The top side's got the momentum, but Johnny's got enough space and slides in front of the 25 car. Johnny Thomas, P7.
Here comes Seth Rawls back to the bottom. Gonna pull the same move, but clears it by quite a bit. Johnny getting with the crossover.
Yep. They're throwing sliders. Johnny's out here just trying to have fun, I think. I think it's, you know, Johnny Thomas, our winner at Daytona a few months ago, and I think he's had a pretty good time this season. You know, we've seen Johnny in contention for a couple of races, but really it was the kind of season that Johnny wants to just, you know, go out and enjoy racing. And a few of those races he definitely wasn't real happy about, but I think here by the end he's having a good time. You can tell with just the way these guys are kind of, you know, caution to the wind when it comes to tires, caution to the wind when it comes to, you know, the wall on the outside of them here, and they're throwing all kinds of, you know, slide jobs, crossover moves, cutting to the bottom. There's some great stuff. Rawls is going to come back at Johnny right here on the front straightaway.
Oh.
Johnny wants the bottom. It's going to be a battle too. This battle for 7th. This is going to be down to the wire for the stage point.
Still going at it as we head off into the turn 3 and 4.
Massey ran it? Or no, sorry.
No,
Rich?
it's the last lap. No,
Oh, last lap. There we go.
here.
I thought you said fastest lap. I was like, what? But here we go. Cameron Rich gonna win the stage, gonna take the points lead. In all likelihood, make it very difficult for Joe Francis and Nick Delicato to get in front of him for the championship. There it is. Cameron Rich plus 10. Johnny Thomas wins the battle for the 7th place stage in a thrilling race over Seth Rawls. Worth noting that Scott Crump ran 2nd in the stage, Joe Francis ran 3rd, Nick Delicato 4th, Gavin Hibbs 5th, Dylan Thomas 6th, then Johnny, Ryan Gavel, and actually Johnny, Seth Rawls, Ryan Gavel, and then Zishan Dura rounded up the top 10. Rawls pits on lap 61. And yep, here comes Scott Crump, gonna undercut Cameron Rich. Delicato's following him. That looked pretty quick on the one. We'll have to take a look and see if he fed. All right. That was very aggressive. He got it down there. He got it down to 48 before he hit the line. See if Cameron Rich answers. I think he can stay out like 2 or 3 laps. No, he's coming in right now. Cameron Rich coming in right now. Joe Francis will stay out, assume the race lead, grabbing a bonus point for himself. And why not? So this is maybe Joe Francis's call, right? Stay out a couple of laps longer. See if you can't, get the tire advantage. Maybe catch a caution right here. Trap Cameron Rich a lap down. It would be very fortunate if he can make that work, but it's certainly worth a shot.
Gavin Hibbs.
Gavin Hibbs down pit road. Teammate Joe Francis still staying out there. Francis is coming after Cameron Rich right now. I believe that is to put Cameron Rich 1 lap down. But look how quickly Rich is going to blow by Joe Francis, unable to keep the 50 a lap down, and now Joe Francis comes down pit road.
And that might have been just a touch why it looked a little bit faster. Obviously, Rich is still on newer, fresher tires, but Joe was probably checking up to get ready to come down pit road there, too.
Johnny Thomas assumes the race lead. He will get a lap lead here. Not yet. I guess not. He'll have to lead he'll have to get by on the next one.
He might be. Nope, he's going to stay out.
See where everybody cycles out. Scott Crump's about 1.5 seconds behind Cameron Rich. Gavel's low on the back straightaway. That's some damage on the 0-1 car. It's almost the caution Johnny Thomas needed. Joe's going to come out behind in Delicato. In fact, he's going to come out way behind in Delicato. That's lap leader Johnny Thomas. Here's the replay for Ryan Gavel. No caution. Here comes the boss man Johnny Thomas. Stayed out long. Caution didn't come out for him even though we had a spinner. And that will give the lead back to Cameron Rich, and Gavel, I'm sure with those cooked tires, he's willing to sacrifice the couple of spots he would lose to go in and get some ones that are a little bit fresher. Joe Francis wound up 5 seconds behind in Delicato, 8 seconds behind Cameron Rich out of all that.
Yeah, they're in trouble.
Yeah. So he was 2 or 3 seconds behind before, and now he's 8 seconds behind. Staying long, not the call.
And most importantly, the only car that was even close to competing with Cameron Rich is 2 seconds back.
And he's running lap times 0.3 of a second slower. So is in Delicato. Joe's the only one that's in Cameron's lap time stratosphere right now. Got 33-1, 33-1, 33-2, 33-1. Those are all much faster. In fact, I wouldn't put it out of the realm of possibility that Delicato catches Scott Crump for second within the next run here. By the way, we did get word from Chris Wright that Massey didn't miss the pit box back when he came down pit road before the stage.
Also, worthy notes, not that it's going to make too much of a difference, but Nick Massey did get a lap back. That one that he basically lost from missing the pit box. Now back to 3 laps down, and he just went by Ryan Gavel, who has now gone 4 laps down. So Massey now in the 11th position.
Yeah, it's worth, worth the perseverance here for Massey. Just try to finish this thing out clean. And obviously we talked about the connection issues. You don't want to see it, but at the very least he can finish this thing off with a, hopefully a top 10 finish. I don't think. Go ahead. What happened?
No, Dylan Thomas just got loose, but he's all good.
It's Dylan Thomas. That's how he drives it normally. This is a good battle row right here for 6th place. Seth Rawls, Dylan Thomas. And they are not 11 seconds ahead of Johnny Thomas, who stayed out a little bit later. See if Johnny can make it back up. As we recall, he was ahead of Seth Rawls once they pitted. Dylan will go around the 25 car. Just Cameron Rich is about a 1/10 to 2/10 faster than Crumpin and Delicato, and running about the same lap times as Joe Francis. About it. Those two tried the short pit. They didn't even get the lead on Cameron Rich before he was back around them with fresher tires and able to hold them off. I will say Cameron Rich is just about to enter lap traffic. He's about to get up on the back bumper of Z Shandura. Johnny Thomas is not too far down the road as well, so Rich may have some fellow drivers to slow him up just a little bit.
Yeah, very evenly spaced out here now. We were just talking about that Dylan Thomas, Seth Rawls battle. Dylan Thomas has now got by, but those are the two that are really anywhere close to each other. Dylan now a 1.5 seconds behind Gavin Hibbs. That'll probably be our closest battle. Everyone else 2 to 3, 4+ seconds away from each other.
Yeah, it's certainly a race that has gotten very spread out. Has gone very green flag heavy. Only 16 drivers, and a few of them encountering early problems. That's kind of bound to happen. It's what happened last week, and we've seen what the bigger fields have done to these ERSCA races. We've seen a lot of chaos this season, and looks like we're going to finish it on a relatively clean and green note.
Closing in on 40 to go here. Working on lap number 76.
I'm not sure if these guys are going to be able to make it all the way on fuel. I tend to believe 40 to 50 is about the limit that you can run on a tank, but that would mean these guys are going to have to come, split this thing in half, come down pit road about 80 to 90. Try to finish this thing off with fresher tires and faster lap times. I don't know that that's going to matter in the Cameron Rich scheme of things here.
I'd expect him to do the exact same thing he did last time. He'll let everybody else pit, go one more lap, and then come down right behind them.
One thing that could maybe throw him off would be that Joe Francis staying out, going long, and then right at that instant that he gets passed by Francis, a caution flag flying. That's the only thing that could change things. Francis has worked the deficit to under 7 seconds, but he's still fighting an uphill battle, being 7 seconds behind race leader Cameron Rich. Got Crump still rolling along in second, about 3 seconds off the lead. Sort of very clean race today. Nick and Delicato sitting third, and Delicato just knocked the wall down the back straightaway. Just absolutely pounded it. Pancaked the right side of the one car. Gap. You'll note the gap is quickly closing from Francis and Delicato, and Nick and Delicato just pancaked away any remaining championship hope that Cameron Rich would do what Delicato just did. He's been pushing it pretty hard. At this point, I mean, lap 80, if everybody's still got to pit one more time, you might as well go now. See how much damage you have, try to get it fixed before you lose too much time, and maybe you get an undercut and take the lead and catch a lucky caution.
We're riding on board with Joe Francis right now as you see him closing in within a half a second now from Nick and Delicato.
He's got, if we flip to the onboard on Delicato, he's got some right front damage. It's definitely slowing that one car down. You just can't see it. It's not quite the same as those other ones. It's visible on the outside. Ooh. Thought Francis was going to get into the back of him. See the space between the... Yep, there it is. Carlos got the pen out for me. Nick's battling Joe, though. He's running kind of in Joe's line, preventing him from getting a clean run off the corner, and it's allowing that one car to stay in front.
While we're looking at this battle, too, Cameron Rich did get around Zishan Duro to put him a lap down, so it's one of the 2 lap cars you'll have to work around. Johnny Thomas will be next in a couple seconds, couple laps.
Funny, it's funky. Johnny's lap time's kind of fallen off a little bit since he was battling with Seth Rawls. A little surprised by that. I thought he would kind of clear Cameron since he stayed out so much longer with those fresher tires, but he has not been able to do that. Here's Joe now. Back bumper of Indelicato, drop to the bottom. Let's see if Joe can make the move on, I believe, his teammate in future series. Nick's loose in that one car, but Francis unable to get the power down off the bottom. Gonna have to find a different way around that one car. He's trying the top now.
Nick gonna slide up.
The momentum's with this 50 car now. He drops to the bottom of the racetrack, set up the pass. He'll drive it down into turn 3. Again, Indelicato just so steady, even with the right front damage. This time, though, Francis is side by side with Indelicato down the front straightaway.
Still not able to get a big run into the corner.
You know, Indelicato's taken away that middle lane. He's not giving Francis that kind of first seam, and it is pinching the 50 car down. It's not letting him wash it off the corner at all. If he ran the extreme top lane, Francis would be able to run whatever line he wanted to on the bottom of the racetrack. As it is, Indelicato kind of forcing him to run lower than he's actually able to generate power, and it's slowing them both up by a lot, but it is keeping the 50 car at bay slightly, though at the line right there, it was Joe Francis who got the best of Indelicato. This is a very close battle. This is very dangerous for Indelicato too. If Cameron Rich's connection, you know, his power goes out or something, I mean, this is the battle for the championship, but you can't wreck each other, because then even if his power goes out, he still wins. I say that, but it's been a good race.
Yeah, that time they weren't quite as close. Nick had really squeezed Joe the previous corner.
This is a good one. This is what it's all about right here. Ooh, Joe got a good run through the center.
Nick went about a lane or 2 higher there that time. That allowed Joe to finally get by.
Yep. Yeah, just that the little bit of space Indelicato wasn't able to pinch off for Joe Francis, and it allowed Francis to kind of get to that first seam and then drive down off the banking to the bottom of the racetrack and clear away from the one, and I think you'll see the 50 car pull away. Slightly fresher tires and no right front damage. But Nick and Delicato does put up a valiant fight against that 50 car. But again, now's the time, right? Come get your fresh tires. If you do still have to pit, come now. It may not need to pit though. That may be it.
So before we started watching that battle, I was saying that Johnny Thomas was going to get caught by Cameron Rich here, but he's actually cut into the gap of Cameron just a little bit, just a couple tenths, and here comes Nick and Delicato down pit road.
Yep, there it is. So I, called it a lap early maybe. He's got to try, and this is the call that could just bring Cameron down. In fact, it probably just is. Cameron's probably just going to come this time. Maybe he'll have to go by, see Nick on pit road, and go in next time. But yeah, no, he's staying out this time. Let's see if Crump goes in. Interesting. Francis down pit road.
Now.
Joe might have sped.
Now.
He was at 60 at the line, but he slammed the brakes down to 43. See, Carlos, if I had done that, which I have, I'm absolutely getting the black flag. Because here comes Cameron Rich now.
I was going to say, he was probably waiting for Joe to come before he decided to make his decision to come down pit road. Make sure he was the last one of those three in.
Speed for Cameron, but all he needed to do was be extra cautious. He was 47 miles per hour at the line. Speed limit's 50 here at Homestead. Cameron Rich, no worries on the speeding penalty. Joe Francis is down and away. He did not get a penalty for that risky and sideways pit road entrance. Nick Delicato is by Joe Francis, but with that damage and the lap fresher tires for the 50, I wonder if he'll be able to track Nick back down. This has left Scott Crump out, who is just now heading down pit road.
Just drawn a comparison here. Ironically, it's both a 17 car, but very similar to this pit stop is like the Chris Buescher stop last night in NASCAR, where his car was so dominant, had plenty of time down pit road, and just had to manage it. Just don't overdo anything.
Yep, very, very cautious pit road entry for Cameron Rich. Probably lost a little bit of time, but that's okay when you have such a big lead, and you just need a clean pit stop here to come out the champion at the other end.
And for Rich, even though Scott Crump's just coming down pit road, yeah, he wants to win the race, but really he could care less about what Scott Crump's doing right now. He's more concerned about Francis and Delicato.
Absolutely, yeah. I waited for those guys to come down pit road first, and then that's when he, strikes and goes down. So, it's one of those where if Scott were to bypass all three of these guys and win this race, ultimately Scott doesn't care.
Caution,
Yellow flag
caution.
is out. And I don't know what that is.
I did see
Eisenman spin coming to pit road, maybe?
No, right when we were watching Crump go off, there was a car that dove to the left, I thought, outside of pit road. I don't know what that was, but I don't know if that brought out something.
Esham
Maybe.
was on the bottom.
I may be seeing things too, or it might have just been someone entering the pit box and I was wrong, but
I see nothing. What do you know? None of the guys who are slow have. All right, well, mystery caution. We'll call it a debris caution. And it doesn't really benefit Johnny Thomas, who was the race leader. He will now come down pit road. Everyone else is just going to stay out around him. And the other issue is, unfortunately for Nick Massey, other people have been lapped. So Massey's not going to get a lucky dog there. He will take the wave around to get back to 2 laps down. And you know what? For Massey, what he's hoping for right now is absolutely a crazy, chaotic, bouncing off of people finish that enables him to get back on the lead lap, and it's probably not going to happen. Joe Francis and Delicato, I believe, came down pit road. Cameron Rich, Scott Crump stayed out, so they will have a couple lap fresher tires. Do we have it? Ryan Gavel burns it out coming off pit road.
Okay, so yeah, that's what I saw. It was Hibbs then, not Crump, right there.
Huh.
Yeah, I thought it was Crump because the black and gold, but yeah, Hibbs there. I saw some cars veer to the left coming off pit road.
Good call. You saw it, but it was Ryan Gavel. So that'll re-rack things and certainly spice up the end of this race. Let's run you down the running order before we double file up and get going to try to close out the 2023 ERSCA season. Cameron Rich will be your race leader when we go back to green. Scott Crump will be second. Gavin Hibbs will be third. Dylan Thomas will be fourth. They had stayed out a little bit longer. Don't know that there are very many laps on the tires of either of those cars. Johnny Thomas is going to be the first car on fresh tires in fifth. Championship contenders Nick Indelicato and Joe Francis will be sixth and seventh. Seth Rawls will be eighth. Zishan Dura will be ninth. Drew Eisenman will be 10th. Nick Massey will be the first car. Any sort of laps down, he'll be 2 laps down in 11th after this caution, and he will be hoping for another quick yellow that can get him back to 1 lap down, and he'll be hoping for one more to get him back in the lead lap and with any semblance of an opportunity to win this championship. For now, it's looking like Cameron Rich's, though Indelicato and Francis will have fresh tires coming through the field, and there will be 24 laps to go, and we head to the green flag again. Just the 10 cars in the lead lap. 11 cars running. See if we can finish this one out under green. Nick Massey certainly hoping we don't.
Nick Massey's hoping for about 4 more cautions.
He really just needs 2 more. 2 more well-placed, not him cautions. 24 laps. Everyone's stacked on top of each other. Certainly could be done. Cameron's got a pretty big gap to Crump, and he's going to get going as soon as the pace car leaves. We are back under green, and Cameron Rich with a massive jump on Scott Crump. Hibbs and Thomas will be side by side for third. Looks like Gavin Hibbs will prevail.
Rich got a good gap there, and he'll get a good drive off. Crump had dove it into the corner, closed that gap a little bit, but it's pushed back out down here, down the backstretch.
Side by side for third, side by side for fifth. Dylan Thomas, Johnny Thomas on the bottom. It is Hibbs, it is Indelicato up top. Indelicato is loose, and Johnny Thomas is going to take over that 5th spot. Also Francis and Rawls side by side.
What a big break that was for Joe Francis. Coming in a little hot, having not the greatest pit stop, but able to get back up in here and mix it up.
He's certainly going to have every opportunity. As Indelicato fires it into the bottom of the racetrack, and look at Johnny Thomas riding up top. That car looks like it washed out in the center of the corner, though. I don't know that he's going to be able to maintain any momentum off the corner. He's going to lose 5th to Indelicato. He might lose 6th to Francis here.
25-lap run does allow Scott Crump to be pretty aggressive on tires here off the start, and he's trying to hang with Cameron Rich. 3 cuts back right now, but a big battle that David was talking about back here, 3rd on back.
Dylan Thomas has it. Gavin Hibbs, Nick Indelicato, and Joe Francis won it. Indelicato down to the bottom. He's hunting 4th place from Gavin Hibbs. Joe Francis kind of just following his fellow championship competitor through. The both of them have been kind of utilizing that bottom lane. These guys around them running that top side, and we know Francis and Indelicato can run at pace with the two guys at the very front of this field, but they do not have the track position right now. They just have like a couple of laps fresher tires.
Delgado did clear Hibbs there into the 4th position, but here comes Hibbs right back. Gonna dive it on in here into the corner.
Hibbs might get tight. That's another pinch move by Indelicato, but it's gonna work again. And we'll keep the 9 car back behind, and now Francis is gonna get to the top side of Gavin Hibbs. Those are teammates, but those guys don't race like teammates. They race hard, everybody. And he got him. Whoa!
Cam's gone. Cam is gone.
Baby.
Whoa.
I joked about it earlier, man. No way. Down pit road. He keeps popping back in to the official scoring, but I don't see him.
I'll see him.
He drops. Oh my goodness. 2 of our championship contenders drop, and now it's Joe Francis versus Indelicato. They're battling side by side right now for 3rd place and probably the championship.
That's a really big bummer, is one way to put it, but this just made this battle super exciting.
Oh my goodness. And Francis, we've seen him bypass this 1 car before tonight. He's back. Cameron's back. He is back. So he's going to be back there with Massey, and he did get those halfway points.
Yeah, but he only got. Well, it depends, I guess, what the. Oh, they're touching right now.
They're making contact.
They're into each other. Yep, they are into each other.
They know now. Francis has the advantage. Scott Crump gets away with the race lead as well. Wow. And Massey, I can't tell if he's going to get by. As way up top goes Indelicato. That will allow Francis to clear. Massey's going to cut back to the bottom. Joe's in the kind of preferred controlling outside lane. But that's going to allow Massey to cut to the inside of Dylan Thomas. 3 wide for 2nd. Oh, they grab
Delgado down to the bottom. Oh, Delgado!
Oh no! Joe held his line in the middle, man. Oh my! 3 championship contenders have had issues, and it's Joe Francis who comes out with the clean car. Rich drops connection again. He'll fall out of the top 10. And the caution comes out with 16 to go. I'll tell you what I saw. Indelicato on the bottom didn't realize they were 3 wide. Came up the track just like he was going to come up to the door of Dylan Thomas. He didn't realize Joe had already arrived in the middle lane and just cuts across and ends up clobbering the wall. Dylan Thomas ends up going with him. Joe Francis's championship contenders just kind of fall by the wayside there. And Joe just stayed out. All right, well, he did just come down pit road, so I think he didn't have the tires. And Nick Massey's going to get back on the lead lap. This race has gone completely haywire in the last 25 laps.
It kind of looks like even if Joe didn't hold his line, with how fast up Nick was going, there would have been contact anyway.
Yeah, I mean, Nick just... I really don't think Nick knew they were 3 wide. There's no way he could have known. And Francis had such a little piece of the quarter panel of Nick that Nick definitely couldn't see him in the mirror. I'm guessing he just assumed Francis was following up top. Ultimately, that doesn't mean that Francis is just going to win the championship, right? There's still points to go around. There's a lot that can still happen. I don't think Francis is going to be able to win the race because I believe he used his last set of tires in the last caution to try and get to this point. Now his tires have 10 laps on them, so the hungry dogs of Scott Crump, Gavin Hibbs, Johnny Thomas, Zishan Dura, they're going to be able to use those fresh tires and maybe pull on by. And will 5th be enough over Cameron, Rich, and Delicato. I don't know.
This has turned into quite the... I don't even know how you want to describe it. Not disaster, but fiasco, I guess. It's going to be a lot of...
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, you got it.
I was just going to say it's turning into quite the number crunching scenarios here.
We're going to have 6 cars with no damage. Really 7 with Massey. I think Massey
2 laps
probably
down, by the
does.
way.
Yeah, Massey still laps down here.
Yeah. Francis. I feel like the worst Francis can finish right here is like 5th, right? I think it's about where he's going to end up finishing. With that, I don't know if he's got enough, right? He did gain on Indelicato at the halfway point. He does have a lap led. I don't believe Indelicato ever stayed out long enough to lead a lap. So that's another point he will have on Indelicato.
Well, he was 3 back coming in from Indelicato.
Right. He's gained that on him, and he's going to be
Right.
ahead of him at the end.
And he was 4 back of Rich coming in. But he gave a few points up during at the halfway point. Gave a few, probably a point up. Rich will probably lead the most laps here.
Yeah.
So there's...
Put the math on.
4
Carlos,
more points.
At this point, I think Joe needs to finish in the top 3, probably. And I don't know if he can. I think there's more cars than that have fresh tires here.
He needs to not wreck.
Yeah, that would
that'd
be priority 1.
Yeah.
Let them buy
the
for
guy
that.
who remember, guys, he made it in by the fewest incidents. Now he was
Rich
about
is
6th or
back on
7th
track.
points, but oh man, green
Yeah,
flag's
Rich-
gonna be out. Francis bringing him down slow. He does get the green. Hibbs and Rawls and Crump all about to go 3 wide for 2nd, right behind Joe Francis. Francis just needs to run a clean last 10 laps here and then let the chips fall where they may.
Carlos mentioned that Cameron Rich is back on track to be 6 laps down here. So with 12 to go,
Eisenman is
he'd
off
really
the
have to
racetrack,
have
by
some
the way.
help.
Rawls just pounded the fence. So that's one of the cars Hibbs could have passed.
He just got it again.
Yeah,
He's
that's
been
one of
riding the fence.
and that's going to be a spot for Indelicato, I think.
Not yet.
Yeah, that one car's pretty heavily damaged, but I do imagine that Rawls will try to give the spot for his teammate there. Joe
But
Francis
Joe Francis contained the lead here. He's still out front holding off Scott Crump. Crump charging now.
Yeah, he's not going to be able to hold him off for long. That car's got 10-lap-old tires. And I don't think Joe's going to do what Cameron Rich did with the older tires, right? He's going to run the bottom. These guys want to take, the top groove and try to go around him. I think he's just going to say, be my guest. Go ahead. I'm happy to let you have it. Just going to see if I can't finish this thing off clean and maybe win a championship if we get lucky.
I would have to say Scott Crump's probably the best car left running, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Yeah,
challenge. So wouldn't be surprised here in the next lap or 2 if he gets around Joe.
Yeah, I think all 3 of these guys are going to get around Joe.
It'll be interesting to see what Johnny does here. To see if he goes for a top 3 or if he backs off.
You gotta race your own race, right? You can't be thinking about somebody else's championship. You just gotta be going for it. Gavin Hibbs now, he is thinking about his teammate, obviously, but I think Gavin's just gotta run for it. Is Dylan Thomas loose on the back straightaway?
Cameron Rich is just set to the fastest lap of the race so far, but not going to matter. He is in the
Speed
top
was
10,
in that
though.
17 car. Speed was there. Drew Eisenman been pulled off track, so Rich able to get back into 10. That could be an important point. Joe's back to third. Hibbs gets to second. It will be Johnny Thomas now hunting after Joe Francis, trying to take away the podium spot. Zishan Dura's also got fresher tires than Joe Francis.
What if there's a tie?
Oh my gosh, I think it's probably best finish, right? There's got to be a tiebreaker. Joe doesn't have any wins.
Cam did win that.
So yeah, Cam would have a tiebreaker on him, and Delicato would have a tiebreaker on him.
Massey, not.
Massey would as well, but he's not.
He's not a factor, I don't believe. Francis back to fourth.
Can Zishan get up and challenge Francis? Joe back to the inside on Johnny. Dylan Thomas about spun it out again. Right now, Joe's fourth and Delicato's eighth. That's only a 4-point gap.
I think Zishan's going to get there.
It's worth noting, I believe, Zishan is teammates with Joe. So if they're in the same chat, Zishan may go, we got a top 5 run. We might not want to pass our championship contending teammate. That said, Gavin Hibbs is up in front of him, and they probably need every point they can get right now.
Well, we'll keep an eye. See what happens here. See if Joe Francis can make a late charge, even though on slow or on old tires.
It's gonna be tough for Joe here. He's doing his best, and you know he's doing all that he can. And Zishan also got loose off a 2 there. Both of them did. And those old tires just not serving Joe well anymore. Scott Crump, the race leader, he has been the second fastest car pretty clearly all race long. Gavin Hibbs running a clean second. He's been in the top 5 all day. The craziness and misfortune of others have allowed these guys to kind of ascend to the top. We've seen Johnny Thomas dice it up with the likes of Seth Rawls and Dylan Thomas and some other guys tonight, and he's running a very clean third tonight, having a really good run to close out this ERSCA season. You love to see it for Johnny.
Started us off strong, finishing us off strong here.
Yep. Then it's Joe, Zishan, and Nick Massey's also in this battle. I think Zishan might have just got the wall right there.
That pass by Massey is not for position.
All right, 2 laps down is that 48 car. What could have been for Nick Massey? I think he had probably top 3 speed for this race tonight. He might have been ahead of that incident between Francis and Delicato and been able to take advantage of the Cameron Rich mishap. I also wonder, does Rich have enough points? Did he bank enough to be able to finish 10th in this race and still get crowned the championship, especially with the halfway points? And especially because nobody was able to really capitalize and win the race.
It'll be interesting to see. Lap and a half now to go. Scott Crump out by almost a full second over Hibbs.
Yep. The question now is, does Joe Francis have enough points to go out, and end up with the championship here in a crazy final race as Scott Crump takes the white flag? We will get 1 lap to go. This season has been wild. It's fitting that the finale looked to be pretty clean for the first 80 to 90 laps, and then all hell broke loose. Just like just about every other race this season. Scott Crump off into turn 3 for the final time of this 2023 ERSCA season. And I believe picking up his first win of the year will be Scott Crump. A long-awaited first win of the season for Crump. It'll be Hibbs, Johnny, Joe Francis fourth, the top finisher of the final 4, and it will come down to points. Zishan Dura with a top 5 run in the final race this season. Then it'll be Seth Rawls, Dylan Thomas, Nick and Delicato finishes 8th in the very wounded number 1 car. Massey will get 9th despite those connection issues, and Cameron Rich, also with connection issues, finishes in 10th.
You know, we'll have to see here on how this all shakes out. But if Rich doesn't end up with the championship, man, your heart just has to break for him after getting wrecked in the first race. Thought he was totally out of it. Comes back, wins last week for 95 laps. Looks like 100 laps. Looks like he had done everything he could do to put himself in a spot to win this championship. And then this happens.
It's heartbreaking, right? And it's funny. I joked about it mid-race. So, if Cameron's power goes out, I mean, you got to be in position to take advantage. And you saw the intensity pick up just as soon as he dropped out of this event. You know, and between the one car and the 50, and you know, we look back at that incident. Definitely not a fault of either driver. Just aggressive racing, going for that championship. My goodness, man, what a season too. I think we've had some really crazy races, and we've had some good and fun races. We've had some chaotic and annoying races, but you know, overall, we're gonna crown a pretty deserving championship, or a pretty deserving champion between the 1, the 50, or the 17. I think.
Let's talk to your second place driver, as Johnny Thomas might be doing some hardcore math right now.
Yeah, third place driver is going to be doing hardcore math and calculations to figure out the champion. So we'll talk to second place finisher Gavin Hibbs. Gavin, you got us, and man, how about that race there tonight, man? That was pretty calm until it wasn't.
Yeah, I mean, I was pretty content running, finishing fifth, the whole race, considering that we went on that long green flag run, and I was pretty much off by myself. But yeah, it got pretty hectic there at the end. That second to last restart, I thought our chances of a top 5 was dashed with, getting very, very loose on the restart and just dropping like a rock. And I thought, man, all that progress I made this whole race is just going to go to waste here in the last 30 laps. But had to come in, use my last set, and figured we had a decent shot to win. But I had to beat Scott Crump, and Crump was one of the fastest cars all night. But yeah, it was pretty. Come up second was awesome.
Whew. Well, with that, I guess take us through the, dodging the big wreck there too. Was there anything else you could have done, and were you kind of aware of Joe's situation, where he probably needed some points to potentially still get to that championship?
Yeah, I was aware of what Joe needed to do, but I mean, with having guys like Johnny Thomas, right up behind me, those last 15 laps, and with Joe being on much older tires, 12 laps older was pretty much did it for him, but he had no tires left. But I was going to do the best I can to help my teammate out as best as possible, but that's how it goes.
Gotcha, man. Well, any favorite moment of the season for you there, or something that you look back on favorably as we close this thing out?
Man, there's a small few of things I hang my head on this season. The pole at Watkins Glen was definitely a great moment. Wish I could have done better in that race, but I'd say that and running a bunch up at the front at Daytona would definitely be my two.
Gotcha. All right, man. Well, congratulations on second in this final one, and hopefully we'll see you next year.
Thank you so much. I'm hoping to be back.
Gavin Hibbs, second place finisher, and I do believe
Results are in.
we have a champion. Results are in.
Let's
Cameron. Oh, go ahead. Yeah. See if we can bring somebody up. Should we bring up the champion?
No, let's bring up third place. We'll save champion for the end.
All right, let's go grab third place. We'll let third place announce it.
Yeah, well, that's a good idea.
Yeah, the third place finisher Johnny Thomas with a really fun result tonight, Johnny. I thought you were having the most fun of anybody. I think you threw the most slide jobs of anybody I saw tonight, and it looked like you were just having fun out there tonight. And you come home with a really good result.
Yeah, we ended up third. Pretty good run. Yeah, me and Gavel and Seth were having a lot of fun. you know, with a limited car count, it's a lot easier to make moves you really typically don't do when there's 43 cars running. So Homestead, it plays to that though. You can do sliders and drive it in hard or try to save tires. You don't typically lose as much time as you do on other tracks, but it's fun. End up third. Got lucky there on that caution. There at the end, we cycled to the front and stayed there. So good win for Crump. He's been looking for one for a while now, so he finally got one, and it was a exciting, interesting day.
Gotcha, man. Well, hate to cut you short, but
Yeah.
do you have a champion to announce for us here?
Yeah. If anybody's watching still, somehow Cameron Rich ended up getting the championship. So congrats to Cam on getting his first ERSCA championship. I know this was a condensed season, kind of basically a trial run for next year, and I'm happy that we had enough guys to get together to try this out to see if we can do it for years to come, and I think we can on a normal ERSCA schedule. But yeah, Cam did it somehow, and fortunately Joe Francis ended up being 2 points short. The guy that made it in over instant counts almost won the championship.
We got Cameron in the booth with us now, and Cam, talk us through around lap 100 whenever the internet went out for you there. What happened, and then kind of what your thought process was as you rejoined the race.
Well, my immediate thought was fuck, because sorry, I probably just got three-wide demonetized, but
So now
I don't-
Cam just got penalized, point penalty, and so Joe Francis is the champion.
yeah, well, it's like 5 points there. You can give me the Dale Jr. treatment.
It's,
No, I don't know, man. It's I've been
Yeah.
having an issue like during my work days with my internet dropping out, and I'm actually they're coming out next week to run a new line, and I was like, well, I hope it just lasts one more week, and it was what, like 10 minutes away from lasting. So I don't know, man. I feel like sometimes the universe is out to get me. Like I could not have had a more tumultuous chase, I feel like, but I don't know. I guess it's official. That's really cool. I was really devastated after it dropped because I came out here with one thing to do, and that was lead as many laps as I could, beat Nick Massey, and beat everybody else. And I know the same thing happened to Nick, so that was pretty shameful on that part. I really wanted to race him out for it, but I guess sometimes you just get those races where your championship contenders are like the bottom four, and then the top one wins. So I don't know. I'm glad we were able to win it. I feel like I've been one of the best cars this year, and that's really cool. I think it was by 2 points or something. So I don't know. That's pretty crazy. I don't know why it dropped, but I guess it's good that Joe had the old tires at the end and wasn't able to challenge Scott there.
Cameron, I asked Gavin this, but what was your kind of favorite moment? You won several races here this season, and did you have a favorite one? Did something stand out for you?
I'd have to say probably Atlanta, just for the mere fact that I feel like last season Atlanta was where my championship ended. So it was nice to kind of win there. And then Auto Club was surprising because I honestly thought after Darlington there was no chance. Then Auto Club put me back in the hunt, and then Homestead. I guess I just got enough bonus points there and led enough laps and was where I needed to be enough to where the points didn't matter when I dropped too much. But I guess if we had more cars here and I wasn't 10th by the end of the race and I was like 15th or something, it probably would have been a pretty less of an affair. But I'm excited for the big season that's coming up.
Yeah, man, and just to take you through it, right? A 2 point gap back to Joe, that could have been, you finishing 12th instead of 10th. That could have been him finishing second. That could have been you just simply bumping into somebody once your connection dropped off. That point going away and then finishing 11th.
Yeah,
you had a lot of stuff break your way, and it's nice when the luck finally rounds on somebody who deserved it all along, right? I mean, 4 race wins this season, and pretty clearly the fastest car week in and week out at this in this series.
It's just nice to be able to win a championship again. I haven't won one since 2018, and even that one, that was a 3-year affair because I kept having bad luck at the end of the races or the end of the season. So it's just I think this is my 3rd year in ERSCA, so it's really cool to finally be able to like get a championship and come out here and race with guys like Nick Massey and Indelicato and Joe and everybody like that, and be fast and race them cleanly and do it without having shenanigans and stuff. So I hope that when the big season comes around next time, we can have more of that, less of the wrecking and stuff like that, because it's really fun. This car is so fun when you can just race with it and you can hang the rear end out and get that skewed body, like just right where it needs to be, and get the car pointed, and you're racing side by side because there's so much grip. It's such a fun car to drive. So I hope we can do it again.
Well, Cam, I want to jump in here and say I'm glad it did work out in your favor, because David tried to jinx you twice during the race. One by just randomly mentioning, because Nick was having computer trouble, that the only way you were going to lose tonight was your computer dropping out. And he jumped Carlos and picked you to win the race tonight, which
I was so mad.
every time Carlos...
I was so mad. This is my penance track.
I was joking with Drew that we put the Matt Kenza 2003 engine in, the one that was like completely illegal and blew up after like 3 laps after he'd already locked the championship at wherever it was. But yeah, we mistakenly put that one in. But I don't know. It's just wild. Haven't had a dropout all season, and then 20 laps to go in the season, it just decides to come up. So I don't know. I don't think I'm gonna have a more wild ending to any season in my sim racing tenure. At least I sure as hell hope not, because that was stressful, and I don't know. 0 out of 10. Do not recommend.
All right, well, if you guys don't have any more questions for Cam, I'll open it up for Cam to give some shout-outs here before we close off this season and interview the race winner and maybe the runner-up in the championship too. But yeah, got any shout-outs for us, Cam?
Yeah, I want to shout out to Drew for being my teammate, being awesome all season. Shame he got caught up there really early on and everything like that. So wish he could have had a better run. I want to give a shout out to Scott. I mean, he was fast as hell all race and was pretty much right behind me. So can't fault, taking advantage of the adversity of someone else, and he definitely took advantage of it. And I think that was his first win on the season, so he's probably really happy to get that win and not end the year with a goose egg per se. But just really good racing all around from these chasers. Shout out to all of those, and yeah, shout out to you guys. Hope we can do it all again next year or next season.
Awesome. Well, congratulations, Cam, and what a great season, and we can't wait to call you the defending champion next year on the broadcast.
Thanks, guys.
And Johnny Thomas says the 3rd place finisher, where we kind of interrupted your interview with the announcement there.
Cam's more important.
He is. You mentioned it, but you got any shout-outs for us here before we grab race winner Scott Crump?
Yeah. One big shout out. Everybody knows you guys talk about them, each week, and they're right front and center. Each week is Belly Up Sports, their series sponsor. Mike Brown and everybody at Belly Up Sports. They do a tremendous job of just giving us this platform to work through. I've had a great relationship with those guys, and I know we're going to continue it on for multiple years. So thanks to everybody at Belly Up Sports who puts this thing together. You guys for coming in and week out. I know it was a little bit different this year, but next year getting back to normal, and we're gonna have some fun.
Awesome, man. And while he's in here, I want to give a shout out to Johnny Eckert for being the race control for this season too. He's done a great job with a lot of boneheaded stuff on track that we've seen. So thanks a lot, Johnny.
Appreciate y'all. Thanks, guys.
All right, that works for sure. So yeah, thanks guys, obviously, for this season and everything that you've done, and you know, we hope to have everybody back, kind of get it going again next year. I think it'll be fun if we do get a long season going.
That's right. Yep. We'll be back.
Alrighty, let's go grab race winner Scott Crump. See if he has anything to say about that finish. Scott, win the race. I believe you're going to win the 6th place.
Yep.
Drivers award package as well. Maybe
Best of the
Johnny can
rest.
tell you what that is, but
It's best of the rest. Get your money back.
there you go.
That's
Yep.
back-to-back years there.
You tired of that yet, Scott? You want to get in the chase battle for the championship?
Yeah, it would be nice. I felt like I was pretty fast all year, but just didn't have a lot of luck.
Right up until tonight, right?
Yeah. I was definitely second best. Cam definitely had us there today. And it definitely would have been interesting there after that last caution. I had 2 lap fresher tires, so it definitely would have been an even battle there at the end.
Yeah, you know, you ran behind him a whole lot in that race. Were you ever in a position to be able to try to get around him, or was it mostly just you kind of stuck behind, hoping that he would bobble?
Yeah, I was kind of just stuck riding behind him, trying to force him into a mistake, and I don't know. He doesn't make mistakes, so I don't know how he does it or whatever. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe could have passed him, could have forced it in there. I just didn't want to force it on him.
I got you, man. And you know, with this, I mean, I presume this is probably your, you know, top memory of this 2023 season. But did you have anything else that stuck out or came to mind that you kind of look back on fondly as we close out the season?
No, it just all big blur. Just had a bad year all around till tonight. So, I think Richmond I finished second. Other than that, everything else been a blur.
Gotcha, man. We got any shout outs for us here before we send you off tonight?
Yeah, get a shout out to Johnny for putting on the league. Get a shout out to my sponsor, Stay Tuned Sports Podcast. Get a shout out to Broadcast 3Y TV. Y'all do an awesome job. Get a shout out to Cam winning the championship, and I mean, it was best car all year. Dominated a bunch of races, and yeah, congrats to everybody else.
Sounds good, man. Well, if you guys don't have anything for Scott, we'll send him off and grab championship runner up.
All right, y'all have a good one.
Yep. All right. Let's finish this thing off with championship runner up Joe Francis. And Joe, it seemed like everything went your way tonight, right up until the very end when you didn't have any more tires to put on. How about you start us out with, you know, what you were thinking once Cameron Rich dropped out of the race?
Well, first of all, I'm thinking about how I got into the championship and say, how the heck did I get here? But I'd say just that final caution is probably the biggest factor in it, or second to last caution, I say, because I just thought to myself, I need to do opposite of whatever they're doing, because if we go green here, then I might have some spare, might have fresher tires and might be able to get around him. But then me and Nick got together. Sorry, my mouth is dry, so I'm having a hard time talking. But then me and Nick got together, and I felt terrible about that. I'm not completely sure who moved the most, but like I said, I just apologize anyway. I still felt terrible. And as soon as that caution came out, I was gonna have to drive my butt off whatsoever. But I know that the tires matter so much here that I just figured they were gonna get around me at some point. But I didn't exactly know where I needed to finish exactly to win the championship. But I was still driving my butt off, and figured Cam was going to get it anyway. Which props to him. He probably deserved it the most.
Yeah, man, I was going to ask about the wreck there. From our point of view, it just looked like the one car didn't realize y'all were 3 wide. You know, did y'all talk about it there? And I mean, it didn't.
I mean, I still apologize anyway.
I gotcha. It didn't really seem like it was on you, but you know, is that just a product of racing for the championship there? Y'all both knew that the 17 was kind of out of the picture.
I never really thought that. I mean, with such a small field and considering how close we are in points, I don't think you really count anybody out. I mean, I don't know if Nick Massey got on the lead lap late in the race or not. I'm not sure, but I mean, we never counted anybody out considering how many cautions you can get towards the end of the race. I mean, still not a big field, so you're not going to get a lot of cautions, but I just never really count anybody out just to be on the safe side.
Gotcha, man. Well, Did anything stick out this season as we kind of wrap this season up? Any good memories or anything you want to share?
I'd say just this car, honestly. I mean, this has probably become my favorite car. Actually, having a car with high horsepower and being able to turn and just being able to whip this car around road courses and get sideways on the big tracks and just have a little bit more power, for Pete's sake. Power is what I love. Power is what I learned how to drive with the older Gen 6 car when it still had 750 horsepower. It's just something I wanted for a long time. When they finally brought it out, that was like a gift. It was a gift.
I got you, man. Well, you got any shout outs for us here before we send you off and close out the season?
My team, which is there too many guys to think, but I think the guys that were in the room tonight, Gerald, Zeshawn, and Gavin for rooting me on and helping me out as much as I can tonight, and the rest of the guys, Jesse, James, Chris, Holt, GT, Richard. I got a big team. Shout out to Johnny and the guys for putting on this league, and shout out to you guys for broadcasting. I always enjoy listening to the races afterwards.
Awesome, man. Well, congratulations on P2 in the championship and a really strong chase, and hopefully we see you next year and back in this car.
Probably will.
Gotcha, man. Well, congratulations, Joe.
Thank you, appreciate it.
With that, you guys got any final thoughts before we close it down for the 2023 season?
It was an exciting end to a race that kind of got strung out a little bit there in the middle part of it, but exciting end in another great season. Thanks again to Johnny and everyone at Belly Up Sports and Carlos for putting it on here, and David for you jumping in the booth.
Yeah, I'd like to also shout out Chris Wright, Robert Hill for helping put the rest of the races on too. Carlos and Dom and I have done this thing for a couple of years, but we do appreciate those guys helping us out, finishing off the broadcasts. And yeah, what a season, man. That was fun. Let's do it again next year.
Absolutely to both of those, yep. Especially Chris jumping in and letting you race at Talladega. So
yeah, that was nice. That was fun too. With that, I am David Westergreen. That is Dom Santina, Carlos Acosta. This has been the Belly Up Sports ERSCA 2023 season on 3 Wide TV. We will see you guys next year.